resources and everything we've done at 20.5%. Questions so far? Perfect. So this is our funded programs. Because of the fact that after October we knew all of our allocations for all of our grant programs, I needed to redo the budget on this because originally we had deleted some of the ESSERs. We thought that was all going to be finished in June 30th. Unfortunately or fortunately, it didn't finish until September 30th. So we increased our funded programs from 10 million to 13 million, and that basically is the ESSER money that had to change. So I just updated it to what we actually spent or have available to spend. And that is my budget presentation for the amendment. Are there any questions?
Penny, not maybe specific to this exact budget hearing, but are we looking into any of the executive orders that are coming in from the federal government, from the president? Are we worried about? I'm worried. I mean, are you? I know. So, you know, I just want to know like your guys' thoughts on what's going on because it looks like some things may be cut. And recently there was an announcement to a cut on Title I funding.
We are looking at that. We also anticipate an increase in our 31A funding too. Whether those two offset each other, we're not 100% sure. But if that does happen, we'll be able to move in the Title I expenditures into 31A to offset those costs. In addition, we are reevaluating all the positions to make sure what is actually needed for next year and what has been serving us effectively.
So that's what has me a little worried is that we're already there then, having to look at what positions are essential.
And we're looking at positions through attrition. So right now, I'm comfortable with where we're at with those things. We always reevaluate everything on a monthly, regular basis. Actually, quarterly we reevaluate. And so by looking at those positions now, we know which direction to go to for next year and where, if we need to make cuts, we probably could.
So when you say we're worried about, so when we're worried about Title I funds getting cut, but so a decrease in Title I, increase in 31A, are those allowable costs apples to apples?
Yes.
Okay.
31A is more is less restrictive than Title I. Title I is very restrictive and specific, and you have a lot of hoops to jump through and the state level auditors and those things. 31A is much broader scope, and so it's much more relaxed when you look at that funding.
But we're just, what if we don't get that 31A increase?
Our budgets are always fluid, and so we're always looking at ways to save and offset different costs. When you look at the budget, there will be a savings for our budget this year, for next year, of $3 million. We're already cutting that out of the budget because of the fact that it was all for facilities and upgrades, construction. So right there, we're bringing back into line for that aspect. And so again, we're evaluating all positions with the student growth or the student need and the populations.
Yeah. So for my fellow board members, I think we might want to start thinking about communicating that to our legislatures, people who represent us at that level, on some type of form of a letter or something where we start advocating, because I think we're going to get affected, especially because we do have a lot of families that help us get that, they're the reason we get that Title I funding. So,
unfortunately, even with the state budget and the federal budget, it's so fluid that one day they could take it away and the next day they go back and give it back.
But this is the first time
right.
I've ever heard a president come out and say we're going to cut Title I funding. Before, they've alluded to there may be adjustments. This is the first time where somebody's cut. We're hearing total cut of the Department of Education.
Correct.
So why would I be surprised if they're going to cut Title I funding?
No, that's a valid point, Trustee Alzea. I don't know. If writing our state representatives in Congress is going to affect his decision, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, it's a valid point. If that's something you guys want to do, I'm all for it. I do have a question.
Of course.
like in any business, which is the way my mind works, I look at our core business, and our core business is students.
Correct.
And one of the questions that I asked you earlier was, what's our student count? What was it fall of '23? What was it fall of '22? I know that you haven't had a chance to really muster the spring numbers.
Right.
Dr. Masalam, this is kind of geared towards you and Ms. Morgan. It's always a concern to me when, and I know you can't be on the corner of Ford Road and Beach Daily with a sign that says now accepting students. I get it. We're putting a lot of money into a lot of facilities, and I think our level of education is much higher today than it was 5 years ago. I can attest to that, excluding COVID and the issues we've dealt with COVID. I challenge you, I guess, is my point here. I challenge you to find different ways to, I don't know, where are we losing the students? I mean, that's, I guess, the question. I know that the influx of students moving into the Crestwood School District is not less than it was before, right? Based on things that I hear from friends who are realtors, you know, an elderly couple selling a home, a family with 2 or 3 children's buying it. I'm just curious what we can do, what has been done.
Realistically, it's not just a Dearborn, Crestwood,
That was my
Heights
next
problem.
question.
Yeah, it's a state of Michigan problem. You have a rapid decline in student enrollment across the state, and you have a lot of families and people moving out of the state.
And Penn Foster.
And so you also have a lot of homeschooling.
So Penn Foster is like homeschooling or virtual learning, and a lot of families are choosing this now because like COVID, some companies got used to not relying on brick and mortar, and just like that, it's also families now who are choosing that for their students.
Don't we still have that? So what I can say is Andrew O'Hare and her team are putting something together that will be shared with the board within the next week or two, that will be shared at the next board meeting as a presentation, that will help support some of the families that want virtual. But I say some of the families because you have to understand, some of these virtual programs are not rigorous at all, and it's not beneficial for the children, and I don't believe we want to be a school district that's going to go down that route, because we're still giving the same diploma to the same kids who graduate from Crestwood High School. The other piece behind this too is, yes, we have students moving in and out of our district on a regular basis.
Sure.
What I can tell you is that a lot of families are leaving Dearborn Heights. It's not that they're leaving our schools. When we're getting requests for schools, because we get the requests, there's a change of address, they've moved to a different city, they've moved to a different state. The only school district that is open enrollment near us, well, Dearborn and us are the only 2 that aren't open enrollment. And those that are going to Dearborn are actually moving their physical addresses. And the ones that are going to open enrollment districts, a lot of times it's because it may be that they're going with friends or family, or the graduation credits are less than ours. But we're not getting that many, to be honest with you. The vast majority of students that we are losing are moving physical addresses. And we know this because we see the change of address. We actually got back this year from my report over we actually reduced the number of students going to charter schools by like 100 kids. So that's the one area that we're always really keeping an eye on, because that's where a lot of public schools lose their kids out of charter schools. But I can tell you, it's an actual physical change of address. But we are constantly trying to look at different means and different ways to maintain a solid number. Our goal is to always try to maintain close to 3,900, but we have something that will be presented to the board in the next board meeting, and it will be shared with you prior to, so you can get a heads up on a plan that Mrs. O'Hare and her team have.
Thank you. The next thing I always think about when you talk about income is expenditures, right? Because you have to know what's coming in, and you have to, I'm speaking your language, you have to know what's going out. And I don't see any expenditures that, like, are really out of whack. Like, we're adding assistant principals, like, the things that we're doing to adapt and adjust to things that are needed.
Correct.
We have to figure out a way, Dr. Masalam, to, I guess, market the school district, and we're not an open school district, and I know that, trust me, when a home goes up for sale, I think it's, house down the street from me went up for sale the other day, I didn't even know about it. There was no sign, I guess there were 17 bids on it, and it was sold within 24 hours. Like, I know, but I just think we have to find a way to constantly keep this as a focus. And to the online, I say we stick to our DNA. If it's something that didn't work the first time, reassess it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Don't try to make something work that doesn't work and put extra expenses on the district. That's the other part I would just challenge you with.
So you're gonna see in the presentation, they're working on it. It's gonna be a middle ground. It's gonna be in between where we were and where some of the other programs are.
Okay.
Where we were was very rigorous and expensive. Where we need to be is maintain rigor, but reduce expenses. Because if we can retain many of the students who are going virtual, based on what they're going to virtual for, that could, help us at least 40 to 50 students yearly. The other thing too is when we look at the student numbers, it's not as if there's this big exodus in like these certain grade levels.
It's not that big of a number.
Yeah, it's a
I
small
know.
number across the board and it adds up. And I'm telling you, it's the vast majority are physical address changes. People moving out of the city of Dearborn Heights.
Any other questions, comments?
I just have one question about,
Go ahead.
so Penny, about the 200 that we projected we were gonna get 200 per pupil. We were projecting that as we were gonna get a $200 per pupil increase.
In state aid, yes.
Okay, have we projected that in the past
We
and
always-
gotten it?
Yes, this is the first year.
Any
since-
reason why we didn't, or what the reason, what was the excuse? I guess?
Governance.
A lot of times, I think it's more of a political move
Yeah.
by the governor than it is any other realistic move.
Okay,
With the election going on, with all of those things, I'm not sure that they could agree on the increase with all the different parties.
since you've been here, have we ever not gotten an increase?
No. The
Okay.
last time we didn't get, the state didn't get an increase was when Governor Snyder was here,
Got
and
it.
that was an actual decrease. So realistically, when they project, what happens is the state gives one number, the governor gives a number, the House gives a number, and the Senate gives a number, and usually it's somewhere in between. That's what's been happening over the last 10 to 15 years. This is the first time since I can recall
Okay,
that we didn't get anything.
Our Superintendent's Association sent letters to the governor's office, the House and the Senate when this happened, saying, this is the first time since this governor's administration that we did not get an increase in our per pupil funding. And that all happened at the same time when they didn't raise the hard cap for the insurance. So it was like a double whammy. And then the triple whammy on top of that was when they caught all the emergency funding. So they literally hit us in 3 different areas that impacted us. Being the fact that we were conservative, hoping for a $200 increase, not getting it, allowed us to stay, very close to where we needed to be. There's a lot of talk right now about things that might happen in the next couple months. So we're continuing to keep our ear on that, on what could occur. I just can tell you this, is that they did not close the books, which is something that leaves a lot of things open for interpretation. So when they were doing the budget, they didn't have enough people there to vote, so they didn't close the books, which means that they didn't give the final allocations.
okay,
So right now, we're in limbo. We could get that 200, we may not get it, we could get 400, we don't know.
we don't know.
We're just going off of, we're not getting anything right now, this is where we are.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, the state changes their budget on a regular basis, so that means we have to adjust ours.
Of course, sure.
Exactly.
The budget
Not-
doesn't change.
It doesn't
obviously.
change as quickly as what
You
they
can't.
can make theirs.
You can't. It would
So
be
that's
a-
why, with our strong fund balance, we didn't have to panic and do massive cuts when we did this. We were able to maintain what we have and function wisely and look at for next year, because you never want to cut and do layoffs or anything positions mid-year, so.
I do want to commend the administration on the fund balance. I did think it would be lower, and the fact that you were able to keep it there, and if I had to ask you, what is a good number in the next 12 months, where would you like it to be? What,
Love to be at 21%. 21% is our goal. Maintain it around 21%. Of course, there's gonna be upticks and downticks because of things that occur. But if we can maintain 21%, 20 to 21% being our target, we'll be in very strong position.
So the days of 26 are,
Those days are gone.
Yeah.
That will never happen again.
okay, we'll take it. I'll take 21%.
Never say never. but-
Well, yeah, never say never.
Never say never, but 21% is a lot healthier than most.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I want to commend you guys on that.
Thank you.
Standard's like 14, right?
17, 16, 17, 18.
Did it go up?
the Michigan School Business Official Organization says anywhere between 16 to 19% is standard. The average of the state right now is about 13.5%.
Average. And take ownership, like if the state's gonna come in, you gotta get below 7%. So, I mean, the whole idea behind this is when we maintain a strong fund balance, first off, it's good for us to have in the savings, because if there's a unforeseen circumstance with infrastructure, and we gotta fix something, and or if there's ever a major cut from the state with our funding. I can add to the Title I piece is we are currently looking at everything for a potential of a 25% cut. So we're already addressing that, and we're looking at things, and Penny had mentioned, and Andrew has been working, her and Penny very closely on looking at the staffing. You know, we're looking at attrition through retirement, so on and so forth, and potentially moving some things around as needed, as we've been doing over the last 5-6 years now.
Yeah, it's nothing new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Thank you, Ms. Morgan.
No problem.
thank you, Penny.
Thank you.
Wait. I did have one other topic that I wanted to open up to the board. Dr. Musalam and I spoke last week, and we were talking about our meeting dates going into August through the next fiscal year. And I wanted to put it out to the board, because when Dr. Musalam and I were talking, I said, hey, you know, I think it's important that we come to this conclusion as a board on a number of meetings. I know that last year we pretty much had one per month. There was a couple months where we had a couple. Am I wrong?
I think there's 3 months where we have 2, the rest is 1. It comes out something like that.
Yeah, and I know there are months where we're gonna need them, and if you guys wanna mimic what we did last year, I'm fine with it. If you want, I guess let's just have a discussion. Are we good with the numbers that we were at? Cause, we come from a different world where there was, I think, a couple per month, if you remember that, or at least. I know it's a lot of work on the administration, but some thoughts?
So I wasn't on the, when the meeting dates were changed, I
No,
wasn't.
I'm just,
I wasn't on the, yeah, so
yeah,
I don't.
are we good with the number, I guess?
I guess, is there an argument for why you guys wanna keep it at 1, or who,
Is there an argument why we wanna add?
or why we wanna add?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because right now, that is, to me, that is the benchmark, unless we have a counter argument as to we need more. That's what I'm opening it up
Okay,
for.
yeah,
So,
no,
yeah, I mean, if everybody says, no, we're good, then we're good. But if there's more, then let's talk about it. Thoughts?
It seems to be working.
Trustee Williamson?
I'd say, I mean, at the moment, it seems to be working. I think the only time it's come up is when they were doing the contract negotiations. There's one of them that, well, we could do it sooner if we had a board meeting sooner. I think that's the only time in the past year that the dates have been really come up.
Mr. Chair? So,
Go ahead, 1 second. She was gonna say something. I'll come right up to you.
sorry, no, I'm sorry.
I can't see.
No, it's fine.
No, it's okay, and I didn't get a chance to say anything, so that's, so I mean, I think if we have more than 1, there's always things, I mean, we always had stuff to talk about, or to discuss, or to vote on when we had more than 1. I mean, but again, I don't know what the reason was, I can't remember why it was changed from 2 to 1, so I don't.
Well, cost was one, from many different perspectives, but
Okay.
that was one reason. But anyway, and I'll come back to that. Trustee Elzad?
So I'm one of the ones who is in full support of moving to 1 meeting, because we always have the option to call for a special meeting should we need it. If there's something that the administration has that's pressing and we need to go over it, we always have that option. If we didn't have the option, then I would say, yeah, wow, we should have 2 meetings a month, and if we don't have anything, fine, then we come up with stuff. But I believe that some of that stuff on the second meeting, we were coming up with as just fillers. So, I think we could work more efficiently if we stick to the one meeting. There's a couple months where they already have carved out where they know they're gonna need 2 meetings for like a presentation, for a budget review, for extra hiring. And, the ones that we don't, I just think we can call a special meeting.
Trustee Badun?
So I think we have really addressed the board packet itself. Majority of our, and correct me if I'm wrong, majority of our time spent in the past when we had multiple meetings was prior to us condensing the hires. You remember that? How we used to have to read to every single, since we've condensed, I think the board meetings, I don't remember one going longer than 90 minutes since. So I don't see a reason for 2. And I personally don't like to cancel a board meeting instead of call a special. So you could always call a special meeting, but to cancel one, if somebody was planning to attend, I know we have a huge audience today, but if one was, it's kind of weird taking something off the calendar as opposed to putting it on. That's just my thought.
I think I agree with you, Trustee Badun. Those were the thoughts that we had. And honestly, I've been, to Trustee Elzayat's point earlier, I've been an advocate of one meeting since I got on the board. I'm not cheap, I'm frugal. I'm just being honest, I'm probably more frugal with the funds of the school district as it pertains to the kids, as you know from moment one. I just don't see a point to it, but I wanted to open it up for discussion because at the end of the day, this is a governing body. This is about all of us. It's not about what I think only. I've been on the other side where somebody just says, here's the schedule for next year, and you go, well, wait a second. We didn't have a say in this. And we do have a say, and that's what I wanted to make sure everybody knew. So it sounds to me like everybody's good with one.
I thought you were just trying to change the dates, so I was.
No, we have not gotten the dates together yet. We'll do that soon.
Well, I do, actually have one more question. So has there ever been in the past year, since we pretty much doing one, has there ever been an issue with new hires? So, because new hire can't start until we have a meeting, right? So if they're actually hired the day after our meeting, that means they can't start for a full month? Has that been an issue in the past year?
You want to address that?
No,
Dr. Masalim?
because what we did was when President Elzayat was president, and now with President Sabo, but I haven't had any with President Sabo at the point, is I would send an email to President Elzayat saying, this person, we'd like to have this person start right away because of the time. And President Elzayat would give
Okay,
you
so
the
you
okay.
just,
Yeah.
okay.
And I
There-
think
there-
out
there's a
of 2
concession.
years, that happened
One
one time
time.
where the person actually started like 2 days before
Yeah.
our meeting.
Yeah, it's usually right around. It's not as if, I mean, those are usually like, it's a classroom teach, and it wouldn't matter because even with the 2 meetings, that person would have to wait 2 weeks. So I mean, the difference is instead of making a person wait 2 weeks, you'd be making them wait 3. That's the difference.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Sorry,
Trustee
I
Elzayat.
just wanted to, because going back to your point of it's a governing body, and it's definitely, and we had this same conversation last year, where we all decided that together.
Correct.
So it wasn't, yeah.
Correct. No, I wanted to make sure, because obviously we've got we've had some changes. And I think this is something we should bring up every year. I don't think it's something you just put out there and say, this is the way it is. Whenever the schedule comes out, anything that Dr. Masalim and I are gonna talk about that affects the entire board is something I'll talk about the entire board, as is this, right? The other thing I did wanna talk about is committees. We did away with committees for a good reason, I think, right? I know that we've got one right now, kind of, pseudo committee of, for the bond, right?
You got the bond oversight committee.
That the President Elzayat, or Trustee Elzayat, when President Elzayat put 3 folks on it, and that's the only committee we have, and I'm okay with that. I have no problems with it. Are you guys good, or do you think we need committees?
So I can speak a little to that. We did away with the meetings because we were having those bond update during the study sessions. And then we had, prior to that, we were working on the policy. So we dedicated that whole year and almost a year and a half of working on policy to those study sessions. And so that's why we did, but we're not doing either one of those now. So if the board wants to put together committees again, I'm all for it too.
Again, that's why we're having this discussion, so.
Besides the bond, what would we want to need a committee for.
Well, we had finance committee in the past, we've had a finance committee, we had curriculum committee.
yeah.
I think we had 5 or 6 different committees.
So if I remember
Safety,
correctly,
security.
yeah, there was safety and security, there was infrastructure, which is now, would be covered by the bond, curriculum, and finance. Those were the ones that, I remember of what we used to have.
I mean, there are 7 of us, so if you guys want to table this and talk about it again, or you think we need 2 or 3 or 4 committees or whatever it may be, let's have the discussion, okay?
So I'm fine with either way. I mean, if we want to, if it was working before where it was just on the study session, I think that's fine, but it just depends on what you guys have to present for study sessions. And
So usually we've been using the study session, so like you had the finance report. We're having, the curriculum team is coming to present, that we have them scheduled for a study session upcoming. We have the social workers, and the social emotional team coming to present at a study session. So, I mean, there's a couple ways you can look at. One thing about our district is we have these study sessions, and the study sessions are very useful because it's an opportunity for us to present what's going on in the district. And that's somewhat taken the place of the committees because we would still do those presentations.
Right.
Like when Zainab did the presentation on EL, that was like an extension of curriculum and instruction.
Safety and security.
Yeah, this is what so we've been doing it in study sessions. If the board would like to put a committee together, I mean, what we could do is we could share that information with the committee. The committee can give us feedback on what more information they want before the presentation. We could actually have a committee meeting and discuss it then, because then it's just gonna get presented again at a study session. So, so we're not redundant, but also systemic in how we present the information. And then at the same time, we're always getting questions from board members. And, if we gotta put something together, we throw it out in a memo, or if it needs to be a presentation.
How often does your curriculum team meet?
Monthly, if not
Monthly.
every 2 weeks. Well, regularly, but your regular,
With me monthly and then their meeting.
yeah,
And how about security?
same. We have an established set of meetings that every group has part of, so then, like Andrea has a specific set of meetings that she meets with her team, but they meet individually before they meet with her, same thing with Penny, and then the same thing with my team. So there's consistent, constant meetings.
Mr. Chair?
Trustee Alzare?
So I would make a recommendation that we come up with a rotating system of when those areas of the committees that we used to have would come and present. So then we'd know that they're coming, to these study sessions, similar to like when we put the calendar together for the meetings themselves. We could say, okay, so now we'll plan out our study sessions where those committees are represented, and we know that they're on the books to be represented, at these certain study sessions as one of the options I would recommend.
I agree with that.
That's why we're having the discussion. The options are up to you guys. I mean,
Mr. Chair?
Trustee Baydoun?
So maybe, I appreciate you asking for sure. Maybe this is a question for Dr. Masalam and his team. Is there an area that you feel you need more support in, that you feel a committee could support you in? Or is it beneficial for you to come and use the study sessions like you have? I personally like the study session option. I don't mind being a part of a committee, and I don't mind not having a committee. That's just my opinion, though. But is there something that you feel that could benefit your cabinet, having it or not having it? And there's no right or wrong answer, just what do you feel?
So I remember talking about this with the board in the past, and there were different board members on the board. And one of the things that I had mentioned was I just felt like everything was being redundant. We would meet with the committee, and then we'd come and present the exact same thing at the study session. So it was like it was an extra meeting, and it was costing the district more money because you had to pay everybody to be on those committees. Like right now with the bond, I think that bond oversight committee is very helpful because you got 3 board members, or as many board members want to sit in there, but you have 3 active members who can ask questions and then bring that information right back to the public right away, because it's and then discuss it at a meeting, and we're still going to be presenting as well. But when it comes to curriculum, we have our regular financial updates and meetings. These are things that I agree where if we put them on the calendar, like when we create next year's calendar, we say, okay, in September, at this study session, this is who's going to present and what they're going to present. And we do that all the way through. I think that's beneficial because then it gives all 7 board members an opportunity to hear the full presentation, ask questions live to those that are presenting, you know, and then come back with maybe some follow-ups. You know, I think that would be really helpful.
So I have a challenging question for you. In everything that I do, in every organization that I've ever belonged to, or every business that I've been involved in, my question is not about what's just going on today. My question is what's going on in 3 years, in 5 years, in 7 years, in 10 years. In 7 years, I think Dr. Musalam will be on a beach somewhere.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Okay. And somebody else will be sitting here. So if you bring in a new superintendent one day and you don't have this formatted, are you, legacy, Dr. Musalam, that has done such a fantastic job in the number of years that he's been here and building everything that he has? And oh, by the way, I don't want committees because it is an extra cost, but I'm asking you this from a professional perspective. Would you be comfortable with a new superintendent being able to do everything? Because I remember some of the old board members were adamantly against not having committees because they wanted to be in the loop on everything, right? Would you be okay with that, knowing that our trust is in you, not to say that we won't trust the next person, but trust is built, not given. It's earned, right? What are your thoughts on that?
I think if we establish systems, processes and procedures that are expected, and then that carries over with the Board of Education, then the Board of Education holds that superintendent and his or her team accountable to follow through on those systems and processes. And where in turn, if those systems and processes are in place and they're systemic and systematic, the only way that the new superintendent could destroy that is literally by throwing it, breaking it, putting 100 pieces, and the Board of Education allowing it. I think once you get in a system, there are things in our district that were systems prior to my arrival that we maintained, but there are things that we changed because they weren't systematic, they weren't systemic. Also too, you want to talk about legacy, my goal is that whomever is the next superintendent of this district is somebody that's sitting on my team. Could be one of these ladies, could be a principal, could be whoever, just don't know how long it's gonna be. We are trying to do everything in our power to create a system in our district where we have people who are rising up through the ranks from one level to the next to the next. And right now, I have 2 ladies sitting next to me who are very capable, and we have principals and assistant principals that are learning and are growing and are the future of this district. So if you want to talk about my legacy is that maybe I am sitting on a beach in 7 years, but I can look back and see one of our current Crestwood School District administrators is the next superintendent, following the same systems and procedures.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Chair, can we ask that Dr. Musalam put together a schedule of what he would bring to the study session for that? So when we have that next meeting, we can like take a look at what that would look like for a year?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I know that sometimes we get emails about policy changes that are going on, you know, statewide or other districts or things that are going on. And we really never talk about, would we want to implement that policy or change that policy, reword that policy? So, I mean, I think it'd be a good idea to just bring them at least twice a year.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, whenever, right now, I think all of our policy changes have just been legal.
Yeah.
It's just been legal changes, some schematics legally.
Yeah.
So nothing, but yeah, we can put that together. We can bring it to the board. I'll submit something before the next board meeting for you to look at. It'll just be based on month, because we won't establish the days until July. Once we, the last Monday of July, which is always our board meeting before we get into August, with those dates, and then we can go from there.
Thank you.
Definitely.
One other comment?
Yeah.
So on the days we have presentations, do we need to also increase the length of the study session? Because right now, we're at 30 minutes.
We could.
Yeah, so on those days, you probably should make those an hour, just so that whoever's doing the presentation won't feel rushed.
We typically have, yeah.
Usually.
Yeah.
We typically have. It's a good point, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
we can do
any
that.
other comments?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned by trustee Baydun, supported by trustee Amen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We will take a 5-minute recess and we will start the general board meeting. short, docket, huh?
Fine by me.
But, like, I always make food and take.
All right. Good evening. Welcome to the general board meeting for the Crestwood School District, March 17th, 2025. I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:48 PM. Mr. Secretary, can you please take roll call?
Trustee Amen? Here. VP Janoon?
Here.
Trustee Baydoun? Here. President Sabah?
Here.
Trustee Elziat?
Here,
I am here, and
Trustee
Fawaz.
Fawaz will not be able to make it this
you
evening.
forgot to
She
say
did not.
Secretary Williamson.
Sorry.
Trustee Fawaz will not make it this evening. She notified me she couldn't make it tonight. Thank you. Now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm sorry, we're gonna have to move that flag back. I couldn't stop laughing at Billy standing right in front of it like,
Kiss the flag.
he's like right in his face, but that's okay.
Problem is, we gotta keep it in visual view of the camera.
Yeah,
Can we just add one right
We could add,
Yeah, let's add another one, because I felt bad. I couldn't, I wanted to laugh while I was, sorry about it.
You can always put a flag on there.
All right.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Mr. Secretary?
I'm reading off the consent agenda. The Board of Education approval is recommended for the items listed in the consent agenda, which include the March 17th, 2025 board agenda, the minutes from the study session on Monday, February 24th, 2025, and the minutes from the regular meeting on Monday, February 24th, 2025, and the check register for February 1st through February 28th, 2025.
Support. Consent agenda, motion by Trustee Amen. Do we have support?
Motion by David.
I'm sorry, motion by David, forgive me. Motion by David, supported by Trustee Amen. We have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Kristen, with all the people we have sitting in the audience, do we have any public comment? None? Okay. Ms. Morgan, our business report?
Thank you. Number one, approval of 24-25 confirming purchase orders. The attached confirming purchase orders are items that needed to be processed prior to the board approval.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Elzayat?
I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the confirming purchase orders per attachment A1.
Support. Motion by Trustee Elzayat, supported by Trustee Williamson, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the confirming purchase orders as per attachment A1. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Number two, approval of 24-25 requisitions. The attached list of requisitions are items that buildings or departments would like to purchase for their upcoming needs. The requisitions have gone through all the appropriate approval processes and have been approved by administration for purchase. In addition, there are funds available to make these purchases. Once the requisitions are approved, they will be processed and purchase orders will be sent out.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Baydoun?
I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the 24-25 requisitions as presented in attachment A2.
Support.
Motion by Trustee Baydoun, supported by Trustee Elzayat, that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the 2024-2025 requisitions as presented in attachment A2. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Number three, 2024-2025 budget amendment. Administration is requesting that the Crestwood Board of Education adopt the amended 24-25 budget as presented in attachment A3. The amendment recognizes staffing changes which occurred through the year, additional capital outlay purchases, and realignment of expenditures into appropriate classifications. The budget amendment anticipates a stable fund balance.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Elzayat?
I I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the 2024-2025 amended budget as presented in attachment A3 with a
Support.
corrected date of March 17, 2025.
Support.
Okay. The recommendation of the Crestwood Board of Education approve the 2024-2025 amended budget as presented in attachment A3 by trustee Elzayat, supported by trustee Janoon. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you,
Thank
Ms. Morgan. And you don't talk anymore, I guess, right? Yeah, that's just me. Okay, so we are on the personnel report, special consideration for action items. Are there any agenda items in the personnel report which any of the board members or the superintendent wish to discuss and vote on separately? If there are, we will exclude these from the motion below. Okay, at this time, I will call for a single motion to approve all of the action items on the personnel report, with the exception of none given. Any items that have just been excluded from this motion, which were none, we're gonna go, I need a motion for, the personnel report.
Mr. Chair?
Trustee Baydoun.
I recommend that the Crestwood Board of Education approve the action items on the personnel report as recommended in the agenda, effective pendable, acceptable criminal background checks and other employment documentation as required by law.
Support.
The motion that the Crestwood Board of Education approve action items on the personnel report as recommended in this agenda, effective pending acceptable criminal background checks and/or other employment documentation as required by law. Motion by trustee Baydoun, supported by trustee Williamson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We are good. Dr. Masala.
Thank you, Mr. President, board, community. No action items today, just some informational items. First, congratulations to Crestwood Band, the MSBOA Solo and Ensemble Division I and Division II ratings. Hannah Hamka, Hannah Nasser, Yanji Zhu, and Iqbal Makawi. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to the Crestwood Quiz Bowl team. They advanced to the state finals on April 12th. Congratulations to Crestwood Honors and Honors, which, I'm sorry, I was thinking of NHS. Congratulations to all the new inductees to the National Honor Society. It was an excellent event, I believe it was last week. I'm losing track of time. A week or two ago. Crestwood Honors and graduation information. The honors convocation is Tuesday, May 27th at 6 p.m. and graduation is Thursday, May 29th at 6 p.m. Also, spring break and the Eid holiday are just around the corner. Monday, March 24th through Monday, March 31st. Our district will be off. We'll be off for spring break from the 24th, that Monday through that Friday, and then we will be off on Monday, March 31st in celebration of the Eid holiday. Students will resume classes on Tuesday, April 1st. We wish all our staff, students, and community a safe and restful spring break and Eid celebrations, and happy St. Patrick's Day. So, thank you, board.
Thank you, Dr. Masalam. Now for board comments. Trustee Baydoun?
Oh, starting over here?
We always
Thank you.
start over
You
there.
caught me off guard.
That's okay. You want me to go this way?
No,
Okay.
I don't have much anyway. I want to just take a moment to congratulate Coach Del Judas and Coach Turfy on two great basketball seasons. I think, you know, they both ran into Wayne Memorial in districts. Wayne boys, I believe, is in the finals right now.
They lost.
Oh, they lost in the finals, so.
East Lansing.
So they were a runner-up state champ, right? So very impressive team. And I know the girls are still going. So, you know, congratulations. I know we have a lot of spring sports coming. Again, to me, driving every day, I drop off and pick up. Driving is the priority, and safety, safety, safety. All I ask is for everybody to be very careful when they're picking up and dropping off, especially at Riverside. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Elzayat?
I just wanted to say Ramadan Mubarak to all those observing the holy month of Ramadan. Congratulations to you all on another year. Also, same to those observing Lent, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. And that's it. I know that some people received letters, or our seniors' parents who received letters saying that commencement would be home now on the football field. So I just wanted to let other people know, because I did get a couple of calls. I know Haas got a couple of calls. I don't know if you guys got a couple of calls, but that it'll now be on the new field, and good luck to everybody.
Thank you. Trustee Williamson?
I really got nothing to say. It's getting warmer, so spring is coming, so everybody enjoy their sunshine and warmer weather.
Thank you. Vice President Janu?
So I would also like to wish everybody a blessed Lent, and we're in our last couple of weeks of Ramadan, so, you know, Ramadan Mubarak, and inshallah, happy Eid for everybody as well, and have a safe spring break. I can't believe we're already in, like, this is already that time of year for us, so, yep, safe spring break, and see you guys next month.
Thank you, Vice President Janoon. Mr. Raymond?
Yes, to echo what everybody else said, Ramadan Mubarak, wishing everybody a happy Lent. Congratulations to our boys basketball and our girls basketball team on their season. Wishing everybody a happy Eid, and I'm expecting a new one in the next week, so, new baby girl.
Congratulations.
So I'm excited for that. Hopefully my wife will stop kicking me at night. So she's watching. I'm probably gonna get in trouble when I go home. But that's it, and I wish everybody a happy, healthy, and safe break also. Like Trustee Baidoon said, the driving, please, you know, with the warmer weather, we see these kids are driving crazy now. So let's watch where we're going. Let's, you know, watch the side streets, the schools, and everybody be safe.
Thank you, Trustee Amon. I echo everything that was said. Obviously, Ramadan Mubarak to those, including many of us here who celebrate Ramadan, to those who celebrate Lent, and happy Easter coming up. I think Easter will be before our next board meeting, if I remember correctly, or right around it? After? Okay. All right, an early happy Easter, happy Passover. This is a good time of year. We've got all three monotheistic religions that have important dates coming up. So happy holidays to everyone. Happy spring break to our students. Enjoy your time off. And administration, enjoy your time off too. Hopefully, Penny, you're going to Florida, because I know you love going to Florida. And that's all that we have. So we will,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
motion to adjourn?
Support.
Trustee Alzaya, motion to adjourn, supported by Trustee Baidoon. Any discussion? We're going to adjourn at 6:01. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.